Please be seated. A very warm welcome to the college here today to all of you, and particularly to those of you who may be visiting the building here for the first time. We're very proud of this new building, which opened after its renovation back in July 2021. It's a light, airy, modern building that works much better than the old college that some of you will be familiar with. And the building plays note to the history of the college, which I'll come on to a little bit later, but also looks to the future, as I shall also touch on. Now, today is a day of celebration when we celebrate the fantastic achievements of our diplomates. And for those of you who've passed your MRCS and FRCS examinations, it really is an incredible achievement. And those of us here on the stage, and we've got quite a number today from the Court of Examiners who are MRCS examiners and have been FRCS examiners, we understand quite how much hard work you have put in to get to this point, and it is a fantastic achievement to celebrate. And it's great that you can do that with your families and friends, and we very much enjoy being part of that celebration today. Those of us who've seen the very anxious faces when I've been supervising examiner going in to brief the candidates before the exam, which you will remember very well, and seeing all those anxious faces, and by the end of talking to you I feel quite anxious myself. It's great to see you on the other side of that experience, as it were, on this day of celebration. We're also delighted to be awarding the Lady Cade Medal today. We've had something of a military theme this week, and we had the great privilege of having the Chief of the Defence Staff receiving an honorary fellowship here just 2 days ago with a number of military personnel who are here in the building. Chief of the Defence Staff, the most senior member of the military in the UK. And we're extremely grateful to the efforts that the military personnel make to keep this country safe and secure. And of course that's come into sharp focus in recent times. I mentioned the history of the college. You can see on the screens behind me and up here on the wall part of the picture downstairs that you may have noted when you came in, a picture by Hans Holbein, painted in 1543, to commemorate the Royal Charter being given by Henry VIII to Thomas Vicary, who is there kneeling at his side. And that was in 1540 when the Company of Surgeons and the Worshipful Company of Barbers came together. We've had a long association with the Livery Company of the Barbers here in London since that time, and each year we get together to celebrate the life of Thomas Vicary through a Vicary lecture given by somebody in a prominent field of anatomy or surgery, and indeed we have a former Vicary lecturer sitting behind me. Professor Vishy Mahadevan, I think, gave the first Vicary lecture in the refurbished building. On the other side of the atrium, you will have seen the statue of John Hunter, who is very much associated with the college, regarded as being the father of scientific surgery. Clearly, surgery in the 18th century was a rather different proposition to what it is in the 21st century, but he applied scientific principles to surgical practice of the time, and was very precise in documenting the symptoms and signs of surgical diseases. He was an extraordinary man who made a collection of 14,000 specimens during his lifetime, many of which are now on show in our newly refurbished Hunterian Museum. Sadly, a large proportion of those were lost in the Second World War when the college took a direct hit from a bomb, but 4,000 of them survive, and 3,000 are on display in the Hunterian Museum, which is very much a jewel in the crown of the college. And I hope very much you'll have an opportunity to visit the Hunterian Museum whilst you're here today. But if you don't, and even if you do, please do come back on another occasion with your friends and family. It's an extraordinary collection of specimens and tells the history of John Hunter, the life of John Hunter, and the history of surgery through to the modern day. You will also have seen in the main hall a surgical robot, and indeed many of the diplomats today will have had experience of using a surgical robot, and in your future careers, no doubt, many of you will continue to use robots in robot-assisted surgery. And there are extraordinary opportunities in the future which we're really just starting on. The use of technology, the implementation of artificial intelligence is going to revolutionise medical and certainly surgical practice. We as a college are very supportive of the introduction of those new technologies, but recognise the importance of them being introduced in a sensible, structured way so that they're used appropriately to improve patient care. If you came in the rear entrance to the building as you looked up, and indeed when you came up to the first floor, you'll have seen a series of pictures of prominent female surgeons who've been on the council of the college here. And you will know that in recent years there's been a major focus of the college on diversity, equity and inclusion. And we want to make sure that everybody who wishes to pursue a surgical career has an opportunity to do that. Some of you will be members of our Women in Surgery Forum, and I hope you will know about the various initiatives that we have put in place following the Kennedy report a few years ago, specifically our flagship project of Parents in Surgery, recognising the difficulties of trying to structure a surgical career, particularly if you're trying to coordinate two careers, maybe even two surgical careers, at the time when many people are thinking of or are starting a family. We know that the last 4 years have been incredibly difficult. Certainly the NHS during the COVID pandemic, life changed dramatically for all of us. And indeed the whole of society changed in a way that I don't think we really could have imagined. And certainly we had a ceremony such as this 4 years ago in March 2020 across the Law Society building, because this building was still being renovated, just before we went into the first lockdown here in the UK. A most extraordinary time when we were hearing stories of what was happening in China and northern Italy. And I want to thank all of you for all that you've done over the last few years to help support the health service. And many of you will have been redeployed to different parts of your hospitals to help ensure that the NHS got through that period of time and didn't fall over. But we know, of course, as a consequence of that, surgical training was particularly badly affected and has struggled to recover. And we're getting towards where we were before COVID, but there's still some work to be done. As a college, we are absolutely supportive of ensuring that you get the best possible training that you can get, and that every possible surgical opportunity, every training opportunity is taken advantage of. We remain in a period of industrial action, which has also been extremely difficult. We have been very clear that we support you in the very difficult decisions that you have had to make around industrial action, and we all hope very much that that will come to a close as soon as possible. There seems to be good progress with regards to the consultant contract. We very much hope that that will happen for junior doctors and SAS surgeons in due course. But today is not a day to focus on the negative. It's a day to focus on the positive of your great achievements, but also the fantastic career that you have ahead of you that you have now started. And my colleagues behind me will attest that in their individual surgical specialties, they have had the most fantastic career. It's an extraordinary opportunity and privilege to be able to operate on people and by the endeavours of your own hands to make them better. I and a number of my colleagues, and some of you too, were at the Association of Surgeons in Training ASIC conference last weekend in Bournemouth. I had the opportunity to talk to a range of people whilst I was there, from medical students, core trainees, higher surgical trainees and consultants. And without exception, everybody was incredibly enthusiastic about what they were doing and their prospects for the future. And I was also very impressed by the commitment of my consultant colleagues there to look to train the next generation of surgeons and make sure that there are people coming through who can pick up the baton and take surgery forward. So the college is here to support you throughout your career, and I hope you will keep in contact with the college. We also want to keep in contact with your families and friends, and I hope you'll come and visit us again, as I said. Enjoy today. It's a day to celebrate with your friends and family, but do keep in touch with us throughout your careers. I hope you will come and use the facilities here in the building. I was delighted that we opened just a couple of days ago the new Members and Fellows Lounge here on the ground floor, which is available for you when you come to the building to sit and relax, have a cup of coffee, perhaps meet with some colleagues, do some work if you want to. So I do hope that you will take advantage of that. And then as you move through your careers, I very much hope that you will join us to support surgery. There's a whole host of ways in which you can be involved with the college. Faculty on educational courses, examiners like my colleagues behind me. You might become one of our regional directors. And you may even at some point in the future be sitting on the stage here or even wearing this gown. The opportunities are there for you. So we move on now to the award of the Lady Cade Medal. And Vice President, please. So the Lady Cade Medal was founded in 1953 by Sir Stanford Cade, who was a council member from 1949 to 1965. I'm just going to say to my colleagues behind me that we don't encourage council members to be on council for 16 years anymore. But he established the medal in memory of his late wife, and the medal is awarded annually by the council, but on the advice of the Director General of the Royal Air Force Medical Services. And it's awarded to the medical officer who has done work considered worthy of recognition and brought about an advance in any branch of medical science in its application to the service in the Royal Air Force. And delighted today that we're awarding the Lady Cade Medal to Wing Commander Kieran Attridge, recently retired from the Royal Air Force after 22 years of service. First as a general practitioner and more recently as a public health physician. And she has completed operational tours of duty in Afghanistan, the broader Middle East and the Falkland Islands. And we're delighted that she's also supported by her husband today, Air Vice Marshal Jeremy Attridge. You're most welcome. Wing Commander Kieran Attridge's work focused on health improvement agenda and implementing a service-wide smoke-free policy and reducing the incidence of smoking within RAF personnel, for which she is awarded the medal.
President, I present to you the recipient of the Lady Cade Medal.
Thank you. That was only preliminary applause. There's to come. By the authority of Council and by the power vested in me as President of the Royal College of Surgeons of England, it gives me the greatest pleasure to award you the Lady Cade Medal. Many, many congratulations. Vice President. Thank you. So that brings us on to the next part of the ceremony, and my colleagues are just walking down the side of the hall here to collect you and bring up the diplomats to receive their certificates, which is my opportunity to ad lib for a moment. These are very special days for the college, and we really enjoy having the opportunity to celebrate with you and to talk to you and your families, as we will do afterwards. As I was going down the stairs yesterday after one of the ceremonies, there was a diplomat wearing his MRCS gown very proudly with his girlfriend and his parents. And so they were taking selfies on the staircase, as people do, and I stopped to have a chat with him. And as I did, as I often do, I started out by saying, where are you from? Where are you working? He said, I'm in Kiev. And I've come to collect my certificate at the college. And I specifically wanted to get the MRCS qualification, so I was in a position to help my fellow countrymen and women through the very difficult position that they find themselves in. Quite extraordinary moment, I must say. Quite emotional talking about it. But it just tells you quite how important these days are in people's lives, and it also puts things into context in terms of the bigger picture and the links that we have with the military that I touched on earlier. We know that we have people from around the world who are very keen to get a qualification from this college. They recognise the importance of that qualification. They look to it for a fair, equitable assessment of their skills and knowledge. And we're delighted to be able to support people around the world in their surgical careers. And we know that many people do come to these ceremonies from places all around the world. But that was really just a very special moment yesterday to have somebody here from Ukraine who not only felt that he wanted to support the people in difficulty in his own country, but to take the time with his family to come here and receive his award. It looks as though we're now ready to get on with the next part of the ceremony, so the Chief Executive will read out the names and we shall carry on. Thank you.
President, I present to you successful fellows in an intercollegiate specialty examination. Fellows in cardiothoracic surgery.
Ahmed El-Zeki. Ahmed Saad. Duncan Steele.
President, I present to you fellows in general surgery.
Grace Lim. Francesca Muscara. Ronak Patel. Yassine Rajub. Alex Rothney. Derek Young.
President, I present to you fellows in oral and maxillofacial surgery.
Mary Coleman. Rebecca Exley. Toby Visome.
President, I present to you fellows in otolaryngology.
Ishank Jaiswal. Abhilasha Kuranasaga.
President, I present to you the Fellows in Trauma and Orthopaedic Surgery.
Mustafa Mahmood. Hafiz Mushtaq. Olivia Cara Payton.
President, I present to you Fellows in Paediatric Surgery.
Lucy Henderson. Ankuta Muntean. Ionika Stoica.
President, I present you Fellows in Plastic Surgery.
Grant Coleman. Samir Gujral. Ibrahim Ibrahim.
President, I present you Fellows in Urology.
Rakul Lekakumari Ravindran. Matthew Parry. Lucy Simmons.
President, I present to you a Fellow ad eundem.
Nagarajan Manikarvel.
President, I present to you successful candidates at recent examinations for membership of the Royal College of Surgeons of England. Diplomates from GKT School of Medical Education, Government Medical College Nagpur, India, the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, India, and the Veer Narmad South Gujarat University, India.
Anurag Agarwal. Amal Bulbadawi. Riaz Hussain Hakda. Alexander Hinton. Hasib Imtiaz. Wendy Yap Hui Lee. Prerna Makasdar.
President, I present to you diplomats from Awadis Pratap Singh University, India, People's Friendship University of Russia, University of Kerala, India, University of Liverpool, and University of Sheffield.
Oleg Alexandrov. Connor Gillespie. Vinamra Jain. Kavitha Kandia. Rohit Krishna Ajith Kumar. Vaishnav Kumar. Dimit Raveshia.
President, I present to you diplomats from Ain Shams University, Egypt, Alexandria University, Egypt, Tianjin Medical University, China, University of Manchester.
Ahab Ali Badran. Tehinga Charminda Sugandira de Silva. Ahmed Hamouda. Mustafa Jabbar. Ravinjot Nagra. Ashmita Prabhakaran. Yovita Chin.
President, I present to you diplomats from Amrita School of Medicine, India, Rawalpindi Medical University, Pakistan, University of Malta, Malta, University of Southampton, University of West Indies, Barbados.
Manup Basi. Gavin Buhagia. Shane Charles. Naomi Cruikshank. Sana Riaz. Ayush Sinya.
President, I present to you diplomates from Dhaka Medical College, Bangladesh, Dr. YSR University of Health Sciences, India, Kathmandu University, Nepal, University College, London.
Rema Alkalbash. Sophia Hashim. A.B. Ajarul Islam. Mafez Jofer. Kalyan Kalidindi.
President, I present to you diplomates from King Edward Medical University, Pakistan, University of Colombo, Sri Lanka, University of Debrecen, Hungary, University of Edinburgh, University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria.
Abhijit Bajracharya. Indika Kumara. Mahul Patel. Mohammed Salik. Daniel Uzoma.
President, I present to you successful candidates in recent examinations for membership of the Royal College of Surgeons of England via the ENT route.
Megan Allman. Abir Chowdhury. Sinem Kara Pekka. Rashmi Patil. Po Shen Ho Roland. Khwaja Soda.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of the award of the certificates, but not the end of the congratulations. I'm sure that all of you will want to offer your congratulations further to our diplomats. So those of you who are here to support them, family, friends, supporters on this side and those at the back, please be upstanding if you would. And a big round of applause for all our diplomats. Thank you. Please do sit down. Now, diplomats, I think you know it's not been a journey on your own, that your friends, families, supporters have been there to help you through the process, to pick you up when there have been difficult times. They've offered emotional support, maybe even financial support. So diplomats, please be upstanding and applaud all your supporters, please. Thank you. Please do sit down. It now gives me very great pleasure to ask our former Vice President, Mr. Tim Goodacre, to come to address the diplomats, please. Thank you, Tim.
Well, good morning, everybody, and Mr. President and Council, thank you for the privilege and honour of standing before you this morning. It is a huge privilege for me to stand in front of you all. You're both the flower of the future, and alongside you here, this immensely impressive group of supporters. Well done. But what a world you have entered at the moment. What a world we live in. My very first honour this morning is to congratulate you all. Again, you've had that before, but when through your diligence, your hard work, your commitment, sacrifice, devotion, and ambition, you've arrived at this point. Well done, each and every one of you. You doubtless have widely differing stories of your journey thus far, but each of you have done immensely well. I want to start by mentioning again, the President mentioned, the Hunterian Museum downstairs, with its brilliantly curated run through 3 centuries of surgical history. Do go and visit it and be inspired by the legacy of the profession which you've now been formally admitted to. It's come a long, long way from the days of old, but the motivation remains the same, and that is of service to our fellow men and women in whatever circumstances the need for surgical intervention arises. I want at the outset of this short address to give each of you the warmest welcome to this college, which you might not as yet appreciate as anything much more than as a fussy old institution which inflicted upon you the rigours of a ghastly examination process from which you have by some means or another survived. I'd like you to know that even having somehow ended up standing here as a past officer of this college, it took me almost a career to fully grasp what it is all about and what it can, and I hope will, mean to each of you here. I'll try in a little while to give you some flavour of the college, which truly is a place which cares for you and your patients a great deal more than is sometimes evident than from the social media world. However, before that, I want to celebrate the profession which you've chosen to join with such commitment and endeavour thus far. It's become somewhat fashionable to downplay the role of the professions in general, and medicine and surgery not the least. However, I'm sure that all of you sitting with us today must have at some point or other experienced the extraordinary feeling of having made someone's life better with the application of all the skills, judgment, wisdom and good sense that you've garnered so far. I do believe that it's a huge privilege to have the license to administer the tangible ability to improve life for people. And I want to echo the words of a previous honourand here who said, "Not many can go to work and say, 'I make people better.'" To which he added the urging never to swagger, but equally not to underestimate the importance of our profession. That is a privilege indeed. And I want to illustrate that briefly by describing to you a recent experience of mine as a nearly retired reconstructive plastic surgeon who's been visiting many centres overseas throughout my career, latterly including a decade of work in Gaza, managing limb reconstruction, as well as trying to establish a training program for my specialty, which has not existed thus far. I don't want to make any political comments about this, save to say that I've spent long hours learning about the perspective of both sides in the conflict, and I believe that the bilateral understanding of the other is going to be an inevitable requirement for peace in the long term. However, my privilege has related to the extraordinary access that possessing surgical skills has given me, both in the longer term with forging relationships of trust across great social boundaries, and also recently, just a month ago, in giving me access to the eye of the storm for a fortnight in the European Gaza hospital near Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. I cannot describe anything in detail to you now, but the privilege of being a surgeon in such circumstances is to be given access, which is denied to the Jeremy Bowens and Lise Doucettes of this world, to then have something practical to offer, however much of a drop in the ocean it might seem, to become almost immediately a part of the community of care which spans cultures and generations and beliefs, to rub shoulders with locals and visitors of all persuasions in challenging circumstances when our common discipline of surgical care binds us together in remarkably moving ways. And alongside all that, to be a witness to humanity in all its guises, strengths and weaknesses, which is a deep well on which to reflect amidst the tsunami of frequently ill-informed opinion that currently washes all around us. I mention this but as one example of where surgery might take you, can or might take you. For me, it spanned working after the earthquake in Kashmir, in the lawless regions of eastern Congo, living among the incredibly poor people of central Tanzania for a couple of years, and so forth. For you, it might be exploring unknown aspects of your clinical experience by researching or setting up clinical trials to find out the best way to make lives better. Or it might be putting your shoulder to the wheel of the colossal management effort we now need to reconfigure and structure our service provision, such that the best values of a humane society can be reflected in how we manage our sick and needy, whatever their position and status. Or it might be that you have the gift of enthusing others and can teach the skills, but also the wisdom and judgment needed to be truly whole surgeons to the next generation. Or as important as any of those things, to develop innovative ideas and see the best through the clinical practice to give patients the better journey through illness that we all crave to offer. I could go on, but I hope you will take some of my enthusiasm for the richness of the world of surgical care which lies at your feet. I can honestly say that I'm incredibly envious of you all entering surgery at this time and place. I wish I was sitting where you are, with research flourishing, innovation racing ahead, a real desire to make surgical lives better for all, regardless of any identity or disposition, despite all the immediate troubles which beset our National Health Service and which certainly weigh heavily on all our minds at present. The system truly does need to be refined, and if I have one tip to offer you, as one who's married to someone who was once a hospital manager, please be the sort of clinicians who are constructive, collaborative where possible, and make kindness one of your core values, not only towards your patients, which should be a given, but to each other, to your team, your juniors, your cleaners, your theatre managers, and dare I say even to your anaesthetists. My experience is probably the same as most of my age. You will have up and down days and duff bits as with every occupation. But from theatre coffee room chat and everywhere else, try to be radiators and not drains. Or in another expression, be part of the solution and not part of the problem in all you do. As you rise up the ranks, resist the temptation to become cynical or disengaged. Become involved. We truly need the finest skilled surgeons all the way to the very top of the food chain. Let me mention a few things that I found most encouraging in the past few years about this old institution. The college is first and foremost about standing for the highest possible standards of the practice of surgery in all its breadth, both for the benefit of those we seek to serve as patients and also for those who deliver surgical services. It's for that reason that you've probably encountered the college initially as something rather alien and fearsome, maybe seeing it as putting unnecessarily difficult obstacles in the way of your progress to a successful professional life. But I can assure you that that process of standard setting and maintaining good training, research, best practice, and the well-being of our workforce is constantly being reviewed and refined to ensure it's as fair and as reasonable as can be conceived. And we're constantly searching for ways in which to improve the process for all concerned. So if you have thoughts about it, or constructive criticism that will improve anything whatsoever, please make sure you speak to us about them. As I will continue to say, this is now your college, and your views matter. They really matter to us and for the greater good. Much more importantly to you now, I suspect, will be how the college works to improve working lives and the whole edifice of surgical care in this country and beyond. You will be aware, no doubt, of the Kennedy Review that the President referred to earlier on, that the last President commissioned, and which has seen major change in not only how you are represented and championed, but also how long-standing unfairness and unacceptable practices in careers and daily surgical life should be challenged and can be changed. This work and process is far from finished. And as you now continue your surgical careers in a world with many difficulties swirling around all our societies, we hope that you'll feel very much part of what is being done here to improve matters. Please feel that this is a place in which you can not only make your voice heard, but from which you can be part of the ongoing effort to make things better for all. There's so much going on in this building and beyond that I can only give you a quick run through some of what you might want to know more about. The college is very proud of all it does in supporting research into every aspect of the practice of surgery, running the hugely successful and helpful research fellowship scheme that I know some here have been part of already, extending that research into a global context with pioneering ways of improving the relevance of what we learn. We have a world-class surgical trials work alongside the clinical effectiveness unit, and I know that every one of you has doing things the best way through evidence-based surgical care as a core value. You can be part of all this, and we welcome you to join with us or suggest new fields in which we could work. Recently, the Innovation Hub here has taken off in a fantastic way, and please bring your ideas and enthusiasm to that if it floats your boat. Or think of how the brilliant Bournemouth team, under the leadership of Kevin Turner, have taken an idea to support the surgeon in trouble or surgeons facing any one of the difficulties that from time to time beset even the best, and given us a superb leading platform from which to offer help and improve surgical lives. That's just an example of somebody who got behind all that he does, that we need to do. I've no more time to describe the good practice guidance development, the whole enterprise of educational support, the fabulous library and collections and resource of which the Hunterian is but a small part, the global surgical initiatives, especially recently aligned with our neighbours in the LSE next door to consider the wider socio-political global surgical scene, and of course the leading voice we have into government and the political scene, much of which goes under the radar, but I can assure you is driven forward diligently by the President and college leadership team. Well, as I close, I want to remind you of George Bernard Shaw's pertinent remark. We've not lost faith, but we've transferred it from God to the medical profession. And in the public's eye, you remain in very high esteem and trust. So be sure to be ethical in all you do. Always question what is right, and never do things just because that's always been the way they're done, even if they're wrong. Set your priorities early and never get sucked into the sort of private practice where money becomes more important than the best interests of your patient. On behalf of all of us up here and this college, we want to welcome you most warmly and hope that from now on you really do feel that this is your college and a valuable home for your surgical interests and career. Our hope is that you will enjoy your careers as surgeons and find deep fulfillment in your commitment to offering the finest service to those who seek your care and wisdom over the coming years. Good luck, and wherever you come from and wherever you're going in life, congratulations.
Tim, thank you very much for your inspirational and thoughtful comments as ever. Thank you. That brings us to the end of the ceremony, and very shortly I'm going to ask you to be upstanding whilst the party here processes off the stage and out the door. And then I hope very much you'll come and join us for some refreshment on the other side of the 6th floor here. So please be upstanding if you would.